This meeting is being recorded.
Do we get that fixed? Guys, welcome to your Tuesday Masterclass. How exciting is the market right now? I don't know about you guys, but it's feeling a little bit crazy. One of the coolest things that I've seen is every single year where we do these all-in 100K months. And for those of you guys who don't know or who are on this call for the first time, all we're talking about is like putting our agents in a position where they're getting those 100K checks at the end of the month, right? Whether that be right now, whether that be the summer months, because a lot of people don't know that they've got the potential to actually do it. For some of you guys who might be on this call going, well, I've never done that before. Well, I don't know what that looks like. Well, who me? Like, I'm just trying to get a couple of deals a month. I'm telling you, if you buy into this process, guys, right? Not only maybe you don't hit 100K, right? But what you will do is unlock the best level of yourself to date, right? And that's what we're really trying to pursue. If we hit 100K, awesome. If you've never done that before, but what we're really focused on, guys, is unlocking levels, right? Put things into perspective real quick. Taylor Ho had a 100K March already. You know what I mean? He hasn't been in the business a long time. He's got everything that he needs to start putting down 100K months in June and July. We were talking about it the other day. Elisa Gonzalez, $91,000 already this month. Elisa, how does that feel? Feels pretty good, doesn't it? Elisa, I'm talking to you. Thumbs up. I love it. Antonio's at 63 grand already. Robin's at 65 grand already. Laura Sinclair on her way. We've got so many people, guys, who are on their way right now. Some of them having never been there before, right? Like, how fucking amazing is that? Like, does that, I want a show of hands real quick, because for some people, man, this can be the most inspiring thing, right? For some people, it could also be like demoralizing. And so I want to check those people really quickly who get demoralized by those testimonials, right? Because I've heard that before when we start throwing out those testimonials and they're like, well, that's great for them, but what about me, right? I don't like seeing that stuff. Can we stop doing the testimonials because it hurts my feelings? And the answer is no, right? You have to look at those testimonials as, oh my God, what they're talking about is possible and it's being achieved on a daily and weekly basis. And if I sold out to the process, I could do that too, right? How many of you guys believe that you could actually put up 100K months? Like, honestly, unmute your microphones and just let me know if you believe that you could do that. Like, do you actually believe it?
I've done it. I've done it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
100%.
So,
Yes.
I love it. I
Yes,
saw Jimmy
sir.
write down like 500 times, like he was Bart Simpson at the beginning of The Simpsons. I will get 100K months, right? I will get 100K months, which is really cool. Is there anybody on this call who has like a belief that they can't, right? Or a feeling that they can't? Is there anybody on here who feels that way? Well, that's all I needed to know then. What am I even talking about? I love that. I love that. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, guys, is huge, because here's what I've noticed as a pattern. The biggest reason for agents' failure, what do you think that is? If I had to tell you, the biggest reason why agents fail and can't get past a certain production point, what do you think that is?
I think
We
it's
start-
We
Stop doing the basics.
We start
Wow.
focusing on the admin things and
Yeah.
we
The
stop
thing
on
that
stop lead
Go ahead, Elisa. What did you say?
I said we stop lead generating because we start
Stop
focusing
lead generating, right? The biggest thing that I've noticed as a reason why agents fail and don't progress is success. Success is the biggest reason why agents fail, right? It's they plug into a challenge like this, and what ends up happening, right? They start generating more business than they've ever generated in their entire life, right? They go from no listings to like juggling 3. How do I do that, right? And they end up over servicing everything to the point where they forgot why they started in the first place, right? The goal of this whole thing was for you guys to actually create problems for yourselves, right? That you didn't have before, right? And how great is it to continually graduate problems, right? And how great is the problem of I've got too much business, right? Is that a problem that you embrace, right? Or is it a problem that you're running from? How many of you guys embrace that as a problem? Are you stressed out about it? Or how many of you guys are like, finally, I've got the problem of what do I do with all this business? Raise your voice and tell me where you're at. Unmute your microphones. Don't stare at me. It's weird.
Not yet.
Cooley,
Most
DP, you just stood there.
Problem.
Go ahead, Elisa.
for me, it's been a conversation that I'm having with our ops team is, yes, all of these problems are coming up, but it's a good thing, because if this is the business that we want every month, what are the problems that we need to work through now so
I
that
love
this isn't temporary, but it becomes consistent.
And that's the goal, right? To make
Mhm.
the problems one of the past, but the production is something that is not just a level that we reach, right? And then we fall back down. It's once we get there, how do we sustain it? Number one, and how do we leverage it to grow? You know what I mean? It's found, and for a lot of people, guys, I think a meeting like this, like most agents, because like you guys put your face all over everything, right? So there's a natural ego that comes with a real estate business, right? You guys put your face all over the internet, all over advertisements, right? A lot of ego involved in the real estate business, right? And when you start succeeding, right, you guys start thinking that you're too good for the basics, right? You're too good to be excellent at the things that got you there, right? You find yourself in some conversations where you're like, I don't really need this, or this doesn't sound groundbreaking enough to help me, right? The great thing is, and every high level agent will tell you the same thing, right? And if you don't believe me, talk to any agent who does 100 deals a year, right? And they will tell you that this is the conversation that we want to have. Michelle, you and I were talking to Aaron Ferry yesterday, who does 100 deals a year down in Georgia, right? Her biggest challenge was what we're talking about today,
Yeah.
right? So this isn't something that you run away from, guys. This isn't something where you roll your eyes and go, I've had this conversation already. This is a conversation, regardless of where your production is at, that if you get it right now, okay, you're on an express ticket to get what you want. Michelle?
Yeah. And I think that, we know most all of you guys on here, right? And in a community like ours, where you're taking, Elisa, someone like yourself that already came in doing 70 transactions a year, right? And now that's your transactions, you're leveling up. You've got big goals of where you're going, right? And there's a ton of agents on here that went from 0, to 20, and then you're going from 20 to 40, right? You're literally going from 0 to I'm juggling 5 listings at a time. I'm juggling 10 listings at a time. I'm juggling 15 listings at a time. I'm juggling 3 open escrows to 5 open escrows to 10 open escrows. It's a very new world that we've been through with all of you over and over and over again. And this is throughout the entirety of your business, not just only in this surge where you guys every spring and summer we do this push, which is incredible, right? I love seeing all the testimonials when we have this big challenge for these 100K months. But here's the reality, right? When you think about how in the world is someone able to do 100 transactions, right? I don't care what the number is, 50 transactions, 100 transactions, 200 transactions, and you take everybody else, it is because we have to have structure and solve the problems like Elisa, like this is a good problem, right? We're now found all of our holes. Now we're juggling this new level of business. It isn't let me melt down and go back. It's how do we solve this? So now those are no longer problems, and you're going to grow again and you're going to have a new level of problems, right, Elisa? That's a good thing, because now we're going to learn how to get our structure and our systems dialed in. But that to me is what I look at with you guys and kind of the conversation we'll have today. We'll deep dive on all this. I'll share screens in a moment, but you guys know this, the business is very cyclical, right? And it's the roller coaster, right? Because Sheila, you get really busy and you do a bunch of deals and then it dips back down, right? And then we get busy with our deals and then it goes back down. Why is that? Right? This is the entire industry. This is most, right? Why does the business go up and down? Speak up. You guys gotta speak up. Why is the business going up and down for most agents?
Because we start
Consistency.
working
No
on the
systems.
forget to work on the new deals. We work on current business and forget to work on new business.
We stop generating business, as Cooley says. You stop making donuts for the donut shop, right? And you're just servicing what you have, and then you go into this hole where you have no business.
So you
right?
start working on your business in your business instead of on your business.
And it's a real problem, right? So Amanda,
Yep.
the real problem is you go, oh my gosh, I've got all this chaos now.
Mhm.
So I have to go figure, I've got to deal with all this chaos. And so we stop making the donuts, right? You take your foot off the gas. So really the conversation becomes, what can I expect and how do I get control of this chaos? Because that's going to be, I see people putting in the chat here, right? What's the difference maker between me and someone that succeeds at a high level? It's all built around the structure and the systems and the control and your routine of what you're doing to control that chaos, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and kick off here, Cooley and Chris. Let me share my screen. So I'm just going to share it like this. Tell me if you guys can all see my screen.
We can see it.
Yes.
And this is just really simple notes just to give you guys a visual. I want you guys taking your own notes. We're going to kind of deep dive on a bunch of this. But Cooley or Chris, let's start here, right? This is kind of everything that we're already talking about, right? The bottleneck that all of you guys are going to encounter, regardless if you're at 70, 100 deals now and looking to grow it from there, or if you're, you're whatever level that you're at, all of you guys are going to encounter this. These are all of your bottlenecks.
Yeah. I'd love for you guys to take a look at these basic things, right? And I know you guys see this and you're like, I'm in elementary school right now, right? But I want you to take I want you to take a look at some of those things. I just want you to write down the excuses that you've used in your morning time with these excuses right here. Like, how often has that occurred over the course of the past 30 days, right? If you take a look at all these excuses, how many have you used in order to get away from your lead generation time realistically, right? And then you have to kind of reverse engineer that into like, okay, well, how many hours is that? How much money did that actually take out of my pocket? And did that really actually help solve the problem? Did I need to do that at that time? Did I really? Or did it just make me feel better, right? Somebody like Andrew Shigori over here who goes out and just sets a ton of listing appointments and reinvents himself. It's because he's just stuck on this process right here, right? But then what ends up happening to somebody like Andrew is he goes all in on lead generation, and then these things start happening, right? And then personal things happen, and then you're right back kind of where you were. That's the roller coaster, right? And we find ourselves just reacting to problems over and over and over again. Real quick, show of hands, show of voices. How many of you guys do you actually feel like you're reacting to things? Like, how many of you guys feel like you wake up every morning and things just kind of happen and then you just go chasing after them, right?
Yes.
Problem is, we got that firefighter helmet on. What are we always looking for? We're always looking for fires, right?
Yes.
So all of the wealth and all of the building is going to come in your morning routine, right? And it's going to be your foundation to everything. And it's going to create a lot of chaos in your afternoon. But the chaos is something that we have to embrace. You know what I mean? We really have to embrace it and go, like, number one, I can't wait to put myself into this problem, but this problem is going to wait until after 11 o'clock, right? Number one, period. You've got to embrace the pain and just understand that those problems are coming and you're going to build your systems while you're going through those problems. So, Michelle, when we're talking about, like, obviously everything can wait until after 11 o'clock, right? And inviting the chaos, what do you think is needed in order to start that morning off like on fire every day? Like, how can we avoid all of the bullshit that we get into right away? You know what I mean? Right in our day, during our prospecting time. How can we avoid that, number one?
So I think number one, and we were just talking about this, I almost feel like maybe it was even on last week, but just, we talk about mastering your morning, right? And a lot of this comes down to our routines and our structure, but you have to, and everything's around intention, right? And so, like, I don't end my day without making sure, GP, I'm looking at you, just you're like the first person I see on my screen here, right? Without making sure I've got everything closed up. I know what my intention, my plan is for the morning the next day, so that when I start my day, it's starting like this. There's an intention and there's a plan. I know when I start my warm up, which would be my brain, the Breakfast Club. I know when I'm starting my lead generation. I've already buttoned up things that I had to address from the day before. I know hot items I'd be hitting on the next day during that time after I finish my lead generation, but there's an intentional plan of how I'm running my business every single day. And it's not just reacting to what happens. I've actually planned the structure of my morning. I think it starts there, right? It starts with that at a base.
Yeah, I think realistically, guys, a lot of times we create the problems ourselves, right? And so we actually get up in the morning and we start searching for those problems. I was talking to Philip, who just joined us not too long ago. He's a newer agent, right? And we talked about like his morning routine and stuff like that. And like your emails, your text messages, I know you guys are checking them before you start your day. Like how many of you guys honestly guilty of that every single morning, right? You wake up in the morning, you check your emails, you check your text messages, right? And how often does that actually fuck you up?
Bring me a
right? For
fire.
the rest
Bring
of the
me a
day.
fire to put
Dur-
out.
during your prospecting time, you're not even fully locked in, right? You're thinking about that one challenge that you have to create, or you're dropping that all together and say, I'll circle back to my lead gen time after I'm done dealing with this fire,
Yeah.
right? And so what you're really doing, and again, this is why I'm saying you can't feel like you're above the conversation.
I'm in a
because
meeting.
I know
Shut the door.
that even that dog was like, yeah, you're not above this, right? And so for all of you guys, regardless of your production point, like you're not above this conversation. You know what I mean? Are you actually causing your own problems first and foremost?
Yeah.
And so I want everybody to reset their mind and reset their morning and take all of the problem searching out. Because you'll find if you do that, man, 90% of it, 90% of all the shit that trips you up every day will be gone. And this meeting isn't even necessary, right? And so I want everybody moving forward, if we're going to do this and if we're going to build out your structure for the afternoon, not checking my email in the morning, not checking my text messages in the morning. Whatever happens is going to happen, and it's going to be there waiting for me at 11 o'clock. Do we all agree on that real quick? Going to be there at 11 o'clock, right? Chris, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that, when somebody's a brand new agent and they have nothing on the board, that they have nothing going on, it's easy to tell that person, well, keep making more contacts. You have nothing else to do, right? And an agent is always searching to have those things to like make an excuse. And so, for all the agents that are on here, depending if you're at the level of brand new, you just started prospecting and lead generating to, hey, you're Elisa and you're making $90,000, $100,000 this month. These things are all just like, these items take place consistently. So what I'll make clear is this: when an agent first starts, it's like, okay, I just need to make my 30 contacts a day. And they kind of have this current baseline of 0. So it's so hard to get that agent to even make the 30 contacts a day because their body and their mind wants to like redact to 0. And then you finally get them out of their comfort zone, you build them up, then they get to 30 contacts, and maybe that agent makes 30 contacts in 3-4 hours, and they don't really have anything else to do today, but they're like, hey, I made my 30 contacts, I'm good now. But in reality, you have nothing else going on. You should probably keep going until you set an appointment. And then that next level comes where it's like, hey, I got to do my 30 contacts to set an appointment every day. And then they get an appointment on contact 10 and they go find some other shit to do because they got their appointment for the day. But they don't really have that much other stuff to do. But then you graduate this thing to the next level, to the next level. And then now you're in this position, the position that we're kind of highlighting today, where you actually have shit that you can make a valid excuse in terms of real estate, running a business for other people. But that's if you want to sabotage yourself. And so no matter what level you're at right now, whether it's like, hey, I need to be consistent at the contacts, I need to be consistent at appointments, hey, now I need to consistently continue to take 5 listings a month, whatever that is, you're going to self-sabotage yourself. And then you're just going to go back into that last position you were in before. And so, Cooley said something really important that I think that everybody on this call should do is, hey, when you know your numbers and like, hey, how much am I worth per contact, right? How much am I worth per contact? And then you remind yourself, have a piece of paper somewhere that goes, hey, like I'm worth whatever that is per contact. So me doing something else is costing me this much money this morning. When you start putting that thousands of dollars, hey, I'm losing thousands of dollars by working on something that I already have in the bag, then you maybe are in a position where you think about it a little bit differently. You save yourself from that self-sabotage,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's two things before I kind of transition this here. And if you guys actually sat here and logically thought about all the things you react to, take the last week, right? Take all the things you react to. Which of those was a legit, like, oh my gosh, the whole world would have burned down, everything would have melted down if I didn't react to that Johnny on the spot? Did that really, right? If you actually logically think back to everything, that's not the case, right? That's not the reality. That's what we talk about, where it can wait, but we're designed, right, Elisa, where it's like, I'm giving great service if I respond to Elisa instantly at 7:29, the moment she texts me, right, or called me or sent this email. And in reality, right, Elisa, when I'm able to control we run a very high volume, right? High productive business operation here, right? If I didn't have control and structure my way, how would I possibly be able to serve you as my client at the highest level? Think about that. If I was just like, oh, but my best way to serve Susan is that I instantly text her back in 1 second, right? At 8:01 a.m. There's no way I would be able to provide the level of service and care and serve my clients at that level if I reacted in that way, right? If you just start to think about that logically, what that means, that's what we're wired as, right? It's like Elisa values me because I just instantly dropped what I was doing, right? That's not the case though, right? How we serve our clients is through us being able to run a high level professional business. That whatever volume we're doing, you guys, it doesn't matter, right? But it's a mental roadblock that we all have when we think that's my worth. I'm being the best service to Elisa because I dropped what I was doing instantly. When that's not the reality.
You know why
think for
I
most
do
people,
that? Sorry.
I go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think the reason I do it is I'm afraid I'll forget. So
Yeah.
how do we manage that one? Like we make like carry a notebook with us 24/7.
Schedule a
or-
reminder for yourself.
That's great, and we're gonna get right into that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
also so I like how we have like the three examples, right? She's worried she's gonna forget. Like Elisa's worried that she's gonna neglect her clients or not providing great service. And then there's the other people who are just so coveting that next paycheck that they've got to jump on it, right?
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
I need to get paid. I need to make that money, right? And that's the most important thing to me. And so I'm dropping everything to get this deal done right now so that I can get paid. Sound familiar to anybody on this call?
Yeah.
Real quick. Like I got to
Yes.
chase after this
I have
commission because
one deal.
I
I'm
need to
dropping
make this
everything for
money,
that.
right? The problem with that way of thinking, guys, is like whether you take care of it at 9 a.m. or whether you take care of it at 11 a.m., you're going to take care of it, right? And it's like the only thing that you're doing by chasing it now is just ensuring that that deal is going to mean so much to you later. Because realistically, Elisa can't react to try to just get a deal closed right away. Like if you're going to do business at scale, and you start reacting that way, your whole business falls apart. Like you're never leveling up because you so covet that next paycheck, and that paycheck is more important to you than the actual lead generation. And that can't be the case, right? So
Yeah.
we all do it for different reasons. And so let me just, and Michelle, if we can get into this real quick,
Yeah.
talk about how we can make this really easy for you. How many of you guys have lender partner, title company partners, different people that service you in your business right now? Okay. Question for you. Have you set the standard with the people that you work with and the people around you at all? Right? Have you had this conversation with the high level people, high level partners that you have in your business? Because after all these people that we have, all these loan officers, all these title companies, right? They're a service to our business, right? And if we're not setting up the criteria for what it's like to work with me, right? And remember, as an agent, to your lender, you're the hot chick at the party. They covet your business. They want to do business with you. Your title company, they want to do business with you. They covet your business. Am I right, Chris?
No.
Like they covet your business, right? And so, Chris, real quickly, if you were an agent and you were trying to protect your mornings, like setting up your life to make the probability that generation time is going to occur is the most important thing. What do you do? What do you do? How do you reach out to your partners? What does that sound like? And how do you set them up with that criteria? This is what's most important in my business. What does that look like to you?
Yeah, I think number one, everybody on here needs to kind of get that, like your partners, they get to kind of leverage you while you get to leverage them. And
Yeah.
without you, they have no business. So like, in the grand scheme of things, they want you to be as productive as possible. And so you can go to those conversations with the simple understanding that since they want you to bring them more business, they're not going to tell you no to anything that we're about to tell you to tell them. They're going to say, no problem, Cooley. No problem, Chris. So it's easy when you go, hey, Michelle, I want to touch base with you because I want to make sure that I keep as much business flowing in my business and in your business as possible. From the hours of this time to this time, you're going to find that I'm usually not going to be able to answer your calls. I'm usually not going to be able to email you back. And in reality, I'm going to want to lean on you a little bit because if there's some problems that you could probably fix on this loan file or in this title issue, whatever the case is, by the time 12 o'clock comes around, that's going to benefit all of us because I'm going to try to find us some more lending files or some more title files in that time frame because I'm on the phone lead generating from this time to this time, setting appointments. And that's kind of that conversation where like we have it on here. Hey, Blank, right now I'm in rapid growth mode and my goal is to completely reinvent my business. In order to do that, I'm protecting my lead generation time from 8 to 12. I won't be taking any calls during this time. To sustain my growth, I need my partners to be on the same page and be able to handle things until noon, right? And you're going to have everybody buy into this understanding. In reality, after this call, they're going to go, holy cow, I'm going to start getting more business. They're going to start having more expectations out of the business that you already have. And that's good because the more people who expect more out of you, right, the higher your standards become because you don't want to like make people, you don't want to have this conversation and then you don't bring them another title file for 90 days. Hey, hey, Michelle, I'm going to be really busy from 8 to 12. I'm going to be bringing us a lot of business. And then the next file comes 3 months later. I don't think that you're going to work like that. So, I think that if you could leverage them the way that, they leverage you, you're going to get, more out of it. And I promise you this, most problems that like the title companies or lenders have, they figure that stuff out. Like a few hours go by and they're like, oh, never mind. We didn't even mean to call you. We thought we saw this and this thing came up on the title and you realize it was all BS or it was things that they could figure out or they end up reaching out to your seller and they're like, oh, you know what? The seller answered it. No problem. And it's
Does that ever happen to you guys where you got a fire alarm for your title company? You called them back and they're like, no, we got it. We took care of it. All good.
Do you guys know how many text messages I have from you guys where Susan, I'm gonna pretend it's you. You asked me a question, but I'm busy. I'm doing something. By the time I go back and I go to the message, you're like, never mind. I figured it out. I found it.
I have it on my voice.
I got a question.
Sorry.
No, sorry.
I was sharing, I love that you're talking about setting the expectations, Chris. Like that's every conversation. And that's something that I started off early with is adding that to my voicemail that I'm not available between these hours, but setting the expectations with your clients, like Cooley said, it helps increase, I guess, not just the professionalism, but they know that you are a true professional because you're managing your business like a business.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, question though, on that, can you scroll it back down yeah, okay. Protect your 7:30 to 12 p.m. like a ritual to avoid real estate roller coaster. Is that supposed to be PM or AM? Is it supposed to be PM?
No, 12 p.m. is noon. Yes. Yeah. That's your morning. That's your first block of the day.
Yeah, it's your morning routine.
That's what I thought. So it'd be 7:30 to 12.
7:30 a.m. to 12 to noon, right?
Okay, so it's supposed to be AM, not PM. Okay.
AM is the middle of the night.
No, 12 is PM. 12 is noon.
Yeah.
He and Susan went to the same high school, but keep going.
Hey guys, so real quick, if I sent you that script, right, to have with your title company, your lender, and your business partners, will you use that today? Will you guys actually have that conversation with people, Antonio? Because I know, when I talk to you guys, some of you guys in the form of accountability, right? Like, hey, did you respect your prospecting time from this time to this time? Or I didn't send my tracking sheet in because I had this buyer, or my title company called me, I had to put this fire out. Like, how many of you guys have given me that excuse, right? And so the most important thing is that we know our excuses, we're honest with ourselves, and we start taking those away in whatever form possible, right? And I love how, like, Elisa's got, like, $91,000 in the bank account this month. And like, she's like, yep, I got to do this. Right. It's like the difference between being coachable and not, because you've got some agents who do 2 to 3 deals a year going, this is like too low level for me. The high producers, man, the devil's in the details. If we can get excellent at these things, ultimate success. Right. Yeah. So if I sent you this script, how many people would actually be willing to reach out to their lender, their title company, the other people that they do business with, and have that conversation?
I will.
Hey, Cooley.
All on setting the expectation, right? And
Absolutely.
it's the same thing. Cooley, you can say it, the voicemail script that we teach all of the agents on repeat, right? You just rattle it out. I know Ian's asking, but we teach all of you guys to program yourself with this. It's all just expectation and standards with your
Yeah,
entire.
if your voicemail right now doesn't say hi, you've reached Ian Olson with eXp Realty. If you're calling me between the hours of 7:30 and 11, I'm on the phone prospecting on behalf of my clients. I'll be returning phone calls promptly after 11. If this is an emergency, you can contact my office at this, whatever phone number. You can set up a Google Voice number, have it go to your admin, whatever you need to do. But guys, if your voicemail doesn't sound like that, like we've said that so many times, you got to get serious. You got to change it, right? Because these are some of the reasons why you're not elevating your production, because your solutions don't like match your excuses. You know what I mean? Like we're not putting in solutions for our excuses, or we're thinking this is a small thing, right? This isn't going to have any impact on my business, so I don't really care about the implementation of this, when it's these little things that set you up for major success. And I want to keep hammering that point home as we go through this, because I know some of you guys have heard this before and done Nathan with it, right? So I love that. Michelle,
I think that
go ahead.
or go ahead. I was going to say before, because I want to get to these two parts in a second, but when all of this is around, you guys, it's all communication, right? So when you set your expectation and your communication standards up front with our family, our friends, all of our clients, all of our partners, like this, it's all in expectations, right? Now, Elisa knows exactly what to expect. I'm always hitting those marks with her, okay? And you guys hear us talk about this with our sellers, right? And so for those of you that are new at this, we're not going to get away from like our phones blowing up. How do we minimize the chaos, right? How do we minimize it? It is upfront. We are communicating with them. We should be talking with all of our sellers at minimum. We are contacting them every single Monday, right? And Susan, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, right? Susan, we're going to be having that update of exactly what's going on with their property, exactly what we're going to do, right? Every single Monday, we're having that conversation. For some of you guys at more volume with a lot more going on, it's going to be 2 times a week, right? It's going to be every Monday and Thursday. But I've set that expectation up front now with my clients, and I'm always hitting the mark with them. It's not, oh, Susan didn't call me back fast enough, right? She knows that we are doing an update every single Monday, or it could be every Monday and Thursday. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that should be
And even
blocked.
like at your listing presentation, we wrap up every listing with, hey, one of the reasons why you're hiring me as your agent, Andrew, is because between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11, I'm out there prospecting buyers on behalf of my listings, and I'm going to be doing the same for you, right? So if you call me, I'll be returning phone calls after 11. Anything else, Andrew, I've got Wednesdays set aside for us to meet every single Wednesday so I can solve all of your problems, right? Give you an update on how we're progressing and whatever adjustments we're going to be making, okay? Right? It's expectation being set. And so instead of like being all over your clients every single day of the week and feeling like you're doing such a great job with your servicing, only for you to finish the transaction and your client being pissed and telling you that you're the worst agent ever, even though you were there for them like they were your firstborn child, it's because we're not setting up the expectation from the get-go, right? And so again, everything around making the donuts. Michelle?
Everything. And it's the same exact logic, you guys, for with your buyers, right? If you have, you have your long-term people on drips, nurtures, whatever, but all of your active, it's the same exact conversation, right? Susan, it's intentional, right? And I don't care whatever the way you're juggling your business, whether it's on a different day or every Monday, guess what? Every week with my active buyers, we are having a conversation and we're looking at where they're at and what properties we're going to be touring and what's going on with their urgency. And we're discussing that every week. It is planned. It is intentional. It's not just, well, when something happens, well, when this reacts, it's intentional communication, right? And do you guys see the difference where if you actually set those standards up front, how now you've taken this total chaos and now you can actually get control of it. And you're still going to have phone calls to deal with outside of that, but it's going to minimize that by 70%, right? 80% to give you control back in your life to actually control it. But that's how it should be done. This is called running a business, right? It's
Ian, 7 listings.
Buyers.
Ian, 7 listings in just the past couple of weeks, right? Have you ever had 7 listings at the same time?
No, and it's actually 8. So
8.
Yes.
Pardon me. Pardon me.
yeah.
Hey, do you know what it's like having like 8 different sellers calling you at all hours of the day, all hours of the night, right? And so this is what I mean for an agent like you should be dialed in, zoned into this, because you're either going to like settle for like 8 transactions at one time is my cap, or you're going to go, all right, I've got to call order forth from chaos and start implementing this now and set up a call with each one of these people like during the week and letting them know that that's the time where we're going to be talking about progress and adjustments. That way they're right on schedule. Expectation is being met and you provided awesome service, right? By the end of it, and you get that 5-star testimonial. Michelle, like when they start crushing it like this, so for somebody like Ian, who's generated 8 deals in the past couple of weeks, never done that before in his life. Like, at what point should somebody have a TC, like doing all the dummy dum-dum work, or a virtual assistant to do all the dummy dum-dum work? What does that look like? What do you
So
think?
I want to get into more details of that in a moment, but I want to highlight this first because you guys see these both here, and I'm going to use an example, right? Chris, you and I were just talking earlier today, right? You're out there crushing 10 deals a month, and it's like, I didn't have a TC, I didn't have an assistant. I'm figuring it all out, right? You can make it work. We just shared with you guys, literally, Cooley and I were on a coaching call yesterday with Aaron, right? You're talking about someone who already sells 60, 70, 100 deals a year. No TC, no assistant. Yes, is it crazy? Is she working a lot? Yes, but it can be done, right? So it's not an excuse not to be able to handle your business. Robin, we talk about this a lot, right? Where you're having the biggest month, you're doing the most business you've ever done in your career. Yes, is it a lot? Is it very overwhelming? Sure, but you're figuring it out. And now we're working with you to build in your back end, right? And so we'll get into this in detail because I just want to share that with you guys. It's not an excuse. The work gets done regardless, right? You can handle that volume because agents are doing it every single day at high levels, right? But in reality, the number one first thing that you can delegate is absolutely a transaction coordinator, right? Someone handling your paperwork and the timelines. That's the first thing that should be off our plates because it's paid at close, right? That should be an immediate add to our business, number one, okay? And I'll scroll down here in a second. But then number two, this is where we come in to help you guys bring on a virtual assistant, Robin, like we're working on right now, that can do everything else. Okay. So let's scroll for a second, and then Cooley I want to pull that up live after we dig into some of this. So let's scroll down to this section where we go, okay, what are we doing in this middle part of our day now? Right. And what I want you guys to get programmed around is mornings are for generation, period, end of story. Nothing changes that, right? And this is the biggest thing here that I want to like highlight this with my mouse, right? It's not just random busy work, right? I have an intentional plan around how I handle my business. This is the only way you guys are going to be able to control what you're doing, right? Control the chaos, do more volume. This will look a little bit different for everybody, right? Because we got agents on here selling 100 plus homes. We got agents on here selling 12, right? All of that's great. Everyone's got different goals, but you're at different volumes in your business. But between this window is when we're doing our training, right? We're doing training and education, and we're doing the actual servicing and or the operations of our business. It waits till the middle part of the day, okay? So we'll start here. Now, Cooley, I want you, me, and Chris to run through this first, and then I want to dissect, because what I want to talk about with you guys before we get into, well, what can I have leveraged off my plate, right? What can I delegate? This is in priority. So you got to think about, again, when I go back to this, is not just for random busy work. I just react to whatever, right? Sheila, this is the problem again. Now you just get back into a moment of, I have no control. I'm just reacting to everything versus I handle the highest priorities in my business and move forward. Hence, I generate business first, highest priority. Now I'm in the servicing operations part of my business. There's logic there as well. Highest priority, work our way through to what we can actually delegate. Okay. So I would say, Cooley and Chris, number one, I call this my future business preparation, right? Because if you keep this engine running and you don't take your foot off the gas, guess what? You always have appointments to go on. Okay. So maybe every day you don't have an appointment to go on, but if I have an appointment, I've got a listing appointment, I've got a buyer I'm meeting with this afternoon. What does that look like? So to me, this is probably priority number one. I'm making sure I have got everything that I need for that 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever p.m. appointment I've got. Right, Cooley?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, again, check yourself real quick right now and ask yourself if you have a process for your afternoon, right? Like when you finish up your prospecting time, are you just like in reaction mode again, right? Do you get in reaction mode instantly and start jumping all over the place and everything's whack-a-mole, right? When you set an appointment, do you have a strict process that you follow with that appointment? Or is it just kind of like, I know what to do up here? How many of you guys are like, I know what to do up here? Raise your hand.
Obviously.
Honestly, I know what to do up here. But how many of you guys who have their hand up still are like, I still feel disorganized, right? I feel like I'm always behind, constantly running behind, right? And it's just because we're not systematized in what we're doing.
Right.
And so like working via checklist, guys, is one of God's greatest gifts, right? Because it allows you to organize your thoughts, right? It allows you to feel like your process is leading towards something rather than you going, I got to do this and I got to do this. It keeps it really simple. And so I'm in some ways, and I make fun of Ashley Deep all the time because I tell her she's a donkey. In so many different ways, I'm a donkey too, right? When it comes to admin work and paperwork, man, I'm like, if I didn't have a Michelle Wilson in my life, guys, like I'd be like burnt down, probably trying to figure out what to do with my life, right? But thank God for somebody like her. And I can't work with admin work unless I have like a very deliberate do this, do this, do this, do this. It brings calm to my brain, right? It makes the chaos around me go away and it allows me to focus on the task at hand rather than while I'm doing this, figuring out how I'm going to juggle this, right? Then how great would it be if you started your afternoon with, I know exactly what I need to do. I just have to do this. Okay, I'm done with that. I got to do this, this, and this. I know this sounds silly, guys, but for us, like, I know most of you guys would say that I have ADD. It's the most popular phrase in real estate, right? I got ADD. How many of you guys have said that? I feel like I've got
I have
ADD.
it.
Anybody say that? I think it's everybody. First of all, bullshit. You don't have ADD, right? You're just not structured. Okay, you're just not organized up here. Not everybody on the planet has ADD, despite what the internet tells you. But this is what causes that
Yeah.
feeling of I have ADD to go away.
Yeah.
It's I've got a certain checklist, and all I have to do is knock this out. And guess what? You also feel like you're making progress, right? Because when you're playing whack-a-mole with things, like the chaos never ends. And that's what creates the mental anxiety is that I don't have an end to this chaos. I have no order. And so if you want order, you've got to call order forth from chaos, right?
Yeah.
And how we do that, Antonio, is we get a lot more structured and a
Yeah.
lot more deliberate about the activities that we do in a row in order. Michelle?
It's just like every appointment we have, right? I've got my templated text that goes out. I've got my templated email that goes out, and I've got my marketing package ready to go, right? And that is my pre-process every single time, whether it's a buyer appointment setup or a seller appointment setup, but it's all ready to go, right? It's structured, it's streamlined, it's templated, it's ready. You can make that super quick 20-second, personalized tweak to it, but it's templated, it's structured, happens every single time, right? This is how things take 5 minutes, 15 minutes versus an hour of our day at random. Okay. Now in logical priority. Okay. But again, this is to me a total checklist, which we train on at ends with you guys, the pre-listing, your pre-checklist, your active process, all of that. Then we have the obvious. Okay. Where's the best use of our time? We're looking at our money, right? So this is not all the little stuff, but again, this is why we have our partners in our team, our lender partners, our title partners, is working with the other agent, working with our clients. But now what's the best use of our time? We're solving bottlenecks with our deals, right? This is high level problem solving. We're solving those bottlenecks that come up within our deals. You've always got to keep a pulse on those. Those are high priority items, obviously, right? Then I would say next from that is that active. You guys notice I put in parentheses here, proactive, right? I'm not just waiting for the fire alarm and everyone blowing me up whenever it is. I am proactively communicating with my clients, right? I'm proactively communicating with my sellers. I'm proactively communicating with my active buyers. I'm in proactive communication with them. This is what minimizes, again, the chaos, phone blowing up every second of the day to I've got some control around this. Make sense? Highest, best use of my time, right? And in my mind, in priority. Also high use of our time, putting together offers, negotiating our deals. This is all, do you guys see this? This is all money-making activity. You guys follow me? But there's still a rhyme and a reason to it. I could go sideways working on something, and now I'm off over here in La La Land and didn't get like anything else done today. Okay, that's what the difference between just reacting at random and in chaos versus I've got like my priorities in order. And then there, you guys, this is a business. We've got things to run, right? This is to me now we get into like the second tier. Okay. When we look at, we've got to manage our database, right? We're managing our pipelines, we're managing our leads, we're managing our databases. If we have team members, if we have transaction coordinators, if we have virtual assistants, we're communicating with them, we're working with them. Guess what? We've got lots of listings. we're marketing those listings. We got all the stuff we're doing on social media, right, Cooley? Right, Chris? All these things, we're still fielding calls. We're just minimizing this to be reduced down to like the 20% versus 100% chaos of our day. Because I'd say this is the one that blows us up the most. Would you guys agree?
Yep.
Especially once you get to heavy volume, if you don't have the structure and the expectations put in place. Okay. Now,
It's
Cooley,
good.
now let's kind of go back when we go back to that conversation of, and there might be stuff I'm leaving out here, you guys. There's more that I'm going to get to down here as we kind of go through this list. But is this kind of logically making sense when we look at how do I just get a little more intentional with how I manage my business in the middle part of this day versus just open fire, react to whatever happens?
It's
Absolutely.
the difference between like
Yeah.
draw me a bunch of zoo animals or here's a coloring book full of zoo animals and you just have to color in the lines, right? It's like that's the biggest difference. Like just give me the coloring book and let me color in between the lines and make it easy, like I was in kindergarten, right? That's kind of how it is with your process. So if you guys are ever feeling overwhelmed and chaos, what I challenge you to do is print out this list. And if you need to add things to it, right? But sit down after your prospecting is done. And rather than going, I got to do this, I got to do that, sit down and color in between the lines, right? Use this checklist to color in between the lines and watch what happens. There's a calmness that occurs when you give somebody as chaotic as me a simple task to just, hey, color in the draft here, Cooley. It's easy. You know what I mean?
And
Go
I
ahead,
want to
Michelle.
just for a moment here because we actually I don't remember which master class we were doing, but I want to say it's sometime in the last month. Cooley and Chris with all of us on here, and this is all just again if you already know this is what we expect. These are all the things we're juggling in our business, right? You just got to think about how can someone handle this at high volume, and how do I get control over this so it can now become the new norm for me. This is all stuff we're dealing with, right? We've got inspections, we've got closings, we're scheduling.
You're okay.
We got to put lock boxes on properties, right? All the things, right? How do we manage these different parts of our business? And I think only to spend like maybe 30 seconds on this, Cooley, just because I want to acknowledge it because someone chimes up and they go, but I got an inspection at 9 a.m., right? Like, but I got to go to this, right? But I'm in Washington State and they require a licensed agent to be there, right? So I like to always address this stuff head on because everyone's going to chime in, right? And they go, but
Yeah.
this, but that.
I would say it's all bullshit, right? And that's what I would say. And you have to value your time, right? So, I mean, there are things that go on in your day-to-day life that you find solutions for, right? Like you have to ask yourself this, right? If I've got an inspection, can I get the buyer's agent to go on the inspection? Can I pay somebody $50 to go on the inspection? Can I pay somebody $20? You know how many broke fucking agents there are in real estate? Like real estate agents are the most poverty-stricken people in the entire world, believe it or not, right? And so there's so many people who just want things to do that if you were to just like, hey, let me give you $50 to go run this lockbox, right? And you should have partners like that in different areas that you know aren't producing, right? And you know never will. I was talking, we onboarded this agent the other day, right? And he's not producing at his office. Poor guy, full of piss and vinegar, full of hustle, right? And his poor office was just using him to run tasks all day, every day. Yeah, but they pay me $40 to go run a lockbox, to go open a door, to do this, right? And he's excited about it because that's his income. And I'm like, my God, man, you don't have to do that. Like, let's close some real estate deals. But what I'm saying, I say that because there are so many agents out there who are willing to take those tasks from you. But GP, do you want to drive 2 hours or an hour, 2 hours both ways to go run a lockbox or attend an inspection? Or what would you be able to do if you took those 2 hours and put it into your database? Who's screaming, call me. You just got $1 million deal from your database, right? It's like you could use that time. You know what I mean? But sometimes we just want to do that because we want to feel like we're busy. Women especially. Some of you ladies don't pay the light bill just for the mystery of, is my power going to be turned off when I get home, right? We create our own drama. Sorry.
How did you know?
Coolly sexist. You know what I mean? But oftentimes just as people, guys, we create our own drama. You know what I mean? And we don't have to. We just have to get proactive. And you build this stuff out as you go, right? So if it's lock boxes, if it's inspections, what's your process for that, right? Are you having the buyer's agent? Are you comfortable going, hey, buyer's agent, you've got to be at this inspection, right? But if my clients saw me not there, right? Your clients don't care if you create the expectation, right? If you tell them exactly what the deal is going to look like, they don't care. You know what I mean? It's just, are you following what you promised and what this transaction was going to look like? Or are there surprises along the way? You get people saying, oh my God, I thought you were going to be there. Oh, you're not going to be at this inspection? What's going on? And yeah, you're right. People do get irritated by that. Why? Because they thought you were going to be there, or they
You did it.
assumed you were going to be there, and you didn't tell them any different. If you were to say, hey, great, we're having the inspection on this date, the buyer's agent's going to be there, walk your tenant through the house, here's what that's going to look like, and I'll talk to you the day after. What's going to happen, right? They've got the expectation that you're not going there. You just saved yourself an hour drive there and an hour drive back. You're allocating that to your lead gen time. You've created another deal, and now your business is humming, and now you're not caught up in the roller coaster. Now you're building every single day, if that makes sense.
Cooley's preaching.
I love it. I
Yes.
love it.
So
I'm telling you what, the only reason why I'm so passionate, because I hate talking about this stuff, because to me, it's just like bang, 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 bang. I don't want to talk about this anymore. But as I talk to agents, as I'm coaching them throughout the week, it's always something like this as to why I couldn't hit my goal this week, or something like this as to why I couldn't lead gen today, right? Or something like this as to why I'm not who I want to be. So I get passionate about this, not because I like it, because I hate this topic, right? And it just makes me, again, want to not be here. But like for your average agent, I know, man, that if you could just get this right, if you could just submit to this process, your entire life changes, right? Your life already changed once you realized you had the skill set to generate business. Am I right? Like, for how many of you guys had that epiphany? Whoa, I could do this, right? The same thing is true on this admin side, right? But it's something nobody cares about, because how can you be passionate about this stuff? You can't be. You know what I mean? But once you get this down, it's like, oh my God, I have unlimited time.
yeah. Well, I think that, so I want to shift now back to what can we take off our plate? Because you guys, this is nothing new. You guys hear us constantly talk about, right? What is the highest, best use of your time? It's the income producing activities, right? Which they're listed right here, right? It's generating business, right? It's going on appointments, it's negotiations, it's client strategy, it's the high value conversations, right? It's the high value communication, right? If it isn't in those categories, it is not income producing, right? And for a lot of people, that's what makes us busy, is all this busy work, right? But it's not what makes us money. And most of the industry, unfortunately, just will stay busy in the busy work. I don't know if it's just to feel busy, right? But we'll just do all the busy work. But why? That's not making you money, right? So you got to, like, again, logically think about that. But why do most get stuck in that? Why do they do that? And so where the beauty of all of this is you got to figure it out. There's plenty of agents doing all of it, right? We just use a bunch of us as examples, literally our conversation we were having with Aaron, yesterday. And so, but the reality is you can delegate all of that, right? You can delegate all of that. And so I'll give you guys a visual here. Some of you guys, I'm working on this right now. Like Cooley and I, Chris, we're working with you guys on this in your business as we speak. Let me show this different screen. Okay. So some of you guys will glaze over. Don't worry about the fact that there's this like giant spreadsheet on here. Okay. But my point, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
My point I want to emphasize, okay? So whether it's, if I was to go pull up like that listing checklist, right? That has our pre, our active, our post, right? You guys have all seen this a million times. I hope we train on it constantly, right? Here's my exact process of what happens when I set an appointment, right? Here's exactly what happens the moment I take a listing active. Here's exactly what happens when I, close a deal. Do you guys see how much of this has VA just represents virtual assistant, but an admin versus what the agent has to do? Do you guys see how much of this? Do you guys see the difference here? How much can be taken off our plate that we don't need to be doing, that is not under that category of high value use of our time, how high value conversations and communications, right? This can all be done by an admin. So you have to ask yourself what it's worth my time, what I could be doing. Let me go back to I know I have different tabs here, right? If all of this could be taken off my plate, this is a whole training manual of systems that you can plug and play your assistants and admins into, right? A virtual assistant that literally can be tracking and managing your numbers and building this whole process out for you, right? That just like Elisa, you have 2 assistants, right, Elisa? Do you guys have 2 that help you run your whole operation, right?
Yeah.
Think about how much time that gives you back. Think about if you didn't have your team in place, like today, and the work that it took to get them in place, right? It'd be wild. It'd be wild for me to think about today if I didn't have my assistants in place, right? But remember where you like started, okay? Everything around our database, you guys, and managing that, right? That we're spending all that time on in the middle of the day, all that's done by our assistants. Even our circle prospecting, right? Our sourcing of the data, again, all those active processes, all these different processes around our open houses, our closings, our buyer systems, right? Our again, looking at transaction management, SkySlope, all our review processes. There's a million things in our business. This goes on and on and on and on, right? What could we be doing with our production? Ian, how could you manage if you could do 8 listings now, which I know this is all new wave for you in the first 30 days, right? But how do you continue to manage that and scale from there? Because right now you got to do all of this.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, what's the best use of my time, right? And what makes the most sense so I can actually handle my production and grow it, right? That's the whole point. How can I handle and serve more business? So I don't want to spend too much time on here.
I was talking to somebody today, Michelle, and they were like, I need an ISA, right? And the ISAs are cranking it out and crushing it, by the way. But I'm like, you don't need an ISA, you need a VA first, right? You need somebody to like organize your shit because you can't even manage like a slight increase in business right now, and you're falling apart by the way that your systems run. You know what I mean? Because if you were to have 3 new deals today and then they sent you 3 new deals next week, your whole business would be fucked. You know what I mean? Like you need to get organized and set your business up for production first, right? Some of these people hired ISAs and they won't spend any time with them at all. You know what I mean? Why? Because they're like, they can't get their life in order, right? Let alone handle more production. And so, like, this stuff is so important, guys. It's not even funny because how many of you guys got into this business? Show of hands, real quick, or show of microphones, unmute your microphones. How many of you guys got into this business because you're like, man, I'm such a rock star at admin work. This is going to go great with the real estate
Never.
business.
No one.
Anybody?
Let's
Never.
go.
You got into the business
Nope, nope,
because you're
nope.
great with people, right? And so our business needs to be built around how can I get in front of more people? How can I get in front of more people? How can I not do this? Sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
No, that's just, I think I pulled this back up that you guys got to think about, right? Here's the routine, here's the schedule, and that's kind of what we want to hit home with you guys, right? There's a formula to this. There is a structure. There is not one high performing, high producer that's just like, oh yeah, I'm waking up and I'm just sitting in my emails and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. That's not how it works, right? So you have to go, what's the formula to follow? There's already a formula in place. Okay? And then the next thing, right? I say eventually because some of you guys desperately need this right now, right? Hence literally our conversation with Aaron yesterday, right? It was like, here's the homework this week, right now. Yesterday, this should have happened. But eventually you need to delegate as much admin, as much compliance, and as much of that coordination as possible, right? This is how we buy our time back, period. Highest and best use of time that can be done by somebody that gets paid $4 to $6 an hour. Okay. Think about that. Ian, you're either doing the $4 to $6 an hour work, or you can have someone else do it. That's it.
Yep.
You either have an assistant doing that or not. But I would say number one, and Lisa, I saw your chat in here. You saw me in that earlier part of this document, right? Leverage a TC first and foremost. That drowns most of us, and that's just an easy plug and play paid at close, right?
Yeah.
So I would say my action items for those coming out of here, Cooley,
Can I say something real quick? Because
Yeah.
I want to touch on the TC thing, right? Some of you guys don't get a TC because you don't want to pay them the $500 at closing, right? And I want to just tell you guys that that's such a limited, like, pea brain thing to think about. You know what I mean? Because $500, guys, to give you the freedom and give you days back in your week, it's crazy for you to not leverage one. Now, if you have a VA, great. You can build out your VA, make them hum and do all of the back end work. But if you're like, look, $500, TC charges me $500 per file, right? And you're not getting one because you're worried about that $500, I could say number one, and anybody can prove me wrong. Number one, you're not doing enough deals. If that $500 a month per transaction hurts you, you're not doing enough deals. And that's exactly why you need to pay $500 per transaction. All right. If that $500 hurts, that's the first sign that you need one. Okay. Michelle?
Yeah. So I would say it starts there. You guys, that's what, for all of you guys, that those of you that are doing it all yourselves and going, okay, it's just your schedule, right? Like the moral of the whole story of that document, which I just attached for you guys, by the way, in that chat, that whole document I had up. Okay. So it's a Word document. You guys can go add your own notes, whatever you want to it, create your own. whatever helps you. Okay. Number one, you're gonna have to get control of your schedule, right? Regardless, to control and keep growing your production, but you got to get control of it so you can maintain the servicing and the operations of your business, right? Number two, if you aren't delegating, you're going, where do I start? You need to have a TC. Okay. And then and then the next one, I would say the third to that is then you're still doing everything else. That whole list, that giant like grid of blue and white that probably most of you guys like glazed over. Yeah, because that should be done by an admin. That should be done by someone that's paid $4 to $6 an hour. Okay. Can be that we literally give them these systems and help train them for you, because this is the bottleneck of where agents get stuck, right? So I would do it in those orders. First and foremost, the structure of your schedule and your communication and your standards, right? Number two, you need a TC in place. Number three, then you get an admin to run everything else in your life, so your time can be spent on all high level generation communications with your clients and driving deals.
And just remember, the VA helps you duplicate too. So they're running all like your post-listing lead gen, your under contract lead gen and stuff like that to make sure, because you're not circle prospecting after you close a deal, right? If I were to ask each individual agent about your last listing, how much did you actually work the neighborhood, right? Did you send out your voicemail drops? Did you do your circle prospecting? Did you do your core property boost and your lead generation? And most people would say, nah. And it's like, you're not duplicating every transaction that you do then, right? Which is the exact reason why you hire a VA. So they can just run all of that shit automatically for you while you're going about generating new business, right? That VA's got your back, like taking advantage of everything that you've already done, if that makes sense. So there you go, Elisa. Absolutely, man. Elisa, you're so coachable. I love the shit out of you. You know that? And Michelle, what else you got?
No, I would say that's it with what would be, I guess, the last Cooley, what you want them to leave with today. I know we're in the core of these 100K months, so I love it. So we're seeing all this come to fruition as we speak every day in conversations with you guys, which is why we want to kind of hit on this week on purpose.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like, who's still bought into the 100K month, right? Because some of you guys were excited to say it, right?
So
And then life
I'm bought
started
in, but-
lifing, things started happening. Like, how many of you guys are still on board with, I'm pursuing that 100K? By the way, real quick, I want to point this out because Elisa's like my new favorite teacher's pet right now. The thing that I love the most about Elisa is like some of you guys who are on Washington State, when I talk to people about 100K months, right? They'll be like, well, easy for those guys in Washington, right? Their price points like this. Which, yeah, Washington people, you've got an extreme advantage, right? Somebody like Elisa who brought in 91K already for the month, her average price point is like 300 grand, right? Something like that. Typically 350 grand, 400 grand. She's not elevated price point, guys. She's dialed in production count, if that makes sense. And so some of you guys have a benefit, right? Some of you guys, Antonio's got $63,000 already this month. Antonio, what's your average price point there in Chi-Town? What is that?
It's 350, around 350.
It's around 350, right? So everything's there for you, and the market is supporting your 100K months and will continue to support your 100K months in the month of June and July and August. So it's all there for us. You have no excuses, right? For those of you guys who are in Washington State with a high price point, woo, you've got an advantage. You know what I mean? Right? But you got to work as if you don't have an advantage and watch what happens. That 100K turns into 200K, then you could do that damn easily. But what I want to know from everybody on this call is, yes, you said that you wanted it, right? We're here right now talking about the work that it's going to take. Reality has stepped in and said, is this something that we're willing to go chase? Is this something that we're in hot pursuit of? I want to know who's still on board. Unmute your microphones and let me know if you're still on board.
I am
Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's go.
100%.
For those of you guys who are new, for those of you guys who haven't been in the real estate business a long time, I just want to point out too, Amanda Martin, right, who I love to death. She's in the business for how many years, Amanda?
This November it'll be 5 years now.
5 years, but you joined us having been in the business for how long?
I was in for 2 with another brokerage and it was useless.
Yeah, she wasn't doing too well, needless to say, right? She came in, kind of sat idle for a couple of months, right? And then was like, hey guys, I'm ready to go all in. Do you know what happened to Amanda? 100K month, right out of the
True.
gate. Okay.
True.
And the thing I love about her testimonial the most is that she had never done 100K in a year, ever.
I had
in
never
her life.
made 100K in a year in my life in any business whatsoever. So it was
Yeah.
a game changer for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so sometimes it takes for us to go all in, to sell out to the Breakfast Club, to sell out to your coaching, right? Because we have a bad habit of like when people decide, Cooley, just tell me what to do, right? Put me in, coach. I'm ready to set my ego aside. I'm ready to be coachable, which is when you get coached, not make excuses and go, but I was just trying to. Well, I was just wanting to. Well, but I've got these things that I've got going on. If you could stop that nonsense, because again, just to bring it back to Amanda, Amanda had every personal excuse as to why she couldn't do that, right? Every excuse that you had, talk about a dumpster fire that Amanda constantly had going on in her personal life. And for
Yeah.
the average person, if she would have come to them and said, hey, this is what I have going on, your average coach or your average person would have been like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, just go focus on what you need to focus on. And then like come back when you're ready. You know what I mean? And
You would
so
never.
the minute you decide to sell out to the things that we're talking to you about, right, is the minute your entire life changes and you show, most importantly, more than the money itself, you prove to yourself that you could actually do something, right? And when
Absolutely
you
right.
prove to yourself that you could do it, it's like Spider-Man shooting webs out of his fingers for the first time, going, oh my God, I can actually do this. And the answer is yes, you can. You've been superhuman all along. You just need to have somebody help you get into that fucking suit. You know what I mean? And then we go out there and we save the day. All right. So, guys, I hope you guys had a great time today talking about admin work. I know some of you guys didn't. Most important thing I'm telling you to offboard all of the nonsense so that you could focus on why you got in the business in the first place. And let's go take over the world, guys. I want everybody to unmute their microphone. I want to hear 100K months.
100K.
Everybody on the
Good month.
Good month.
100K
Boom.
months.
100K. Yes.
Hey, Matt.
Make it happen, guys. Thanks for
Okay.
joining. Let's go.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
guys.
Thank you guys. This was needed.